Today, we'll talk to the owner of the Standby Skipper app. That's coming up on this episode 369 of WW Prep to Go. Hello and welcome to WW Prep to Go, where we talk strategy and ideas for people planning their Disney World trips. I'm your host, Shannon Albert from www.prepschool.com. Thank you for being here for episode 369. Today, I have an interview with the owner of Standby Skipper. You have heard about it on here many times, either from me or in various trip reports. And I wanted a chance to ask a lot of the questions that you all have asked me. And so today we will have that. Before we jump into that conversation, as always, a reminder to follow on social media. Search WDW Prep School on all the platforms. That now includes Threads if you are on Threads, as well as TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Just follow along there so that we can have a two-way conversation instead of just me talking at you. Also, a reminder that if you want to be a trip report guest, to use the SpeakPipe information in the show notes of every single episode, where you just leave a voicemail about your trip. And then if it works with our schedule, we will reach out to you to get it scheduled. I think that is it for now. Here is my chat with the owner of Standby Skipper. Welcome to the podcast, Captain.
Good morning.
Hi. Can you do an introduction? Which company are you with?
I'm with Standby Skipper. I'm the owner of the Standby Skipper, the app that helps families skip the line at Disney.
Very handy. We've been talking about a lot on the podcast. So we appreciate the service. I can't wait to get into how it came to be. Can we start a little bit at the beginning, which is a little bit about like who you are and why you go by Captain?
So just part of our origin story is we're two parents, Disney-loving parents that developed the app. And both of us still work full-time because we're not entirely sure how long Genie will be around. So we still want to be able to pay our bills. So the industry that I work in is kind of sensitive. So we just try to funnel everything through the captain.
So we'll call you Captain so that your day job is protected. You keep paying your mortgage.
That'd be great.
So going back to, let's go before Standby Skipper ever came to be. What was your background? Are you like Disney parks lovers? Are you newbies? What's your background there?
My background is in healthcare, and I worked as a therapist for many, many years. My husband's background is in technology. Our family loves Disney, and my husband has always loved Disney. Even since he was a little kid, I was kind of late to the game. So I wasn't a big Disney fan, but it was not really an option to not just get on board with him. But then once we started having kids, and the first time my daughter saw the castle, I started crying. I have no idea why I'm crying. I don't have any kind of like emotional tie up to the castle, but just seeing her excitement, and now we're all fully indoctrinated and very much a Disney family.
You're very much a Disney family. So you've been going for like ever since you had kids? Is that basically how it started?
No, he started taking me before the kids. So we've probably been going for the past 15 or 20 years.
A long time.
Long time, yeah.
Okay. So you've seen all different iterations of the parks.
We have, and lots of different ways to bypass the line. Part of the funny thing about me getting on board with all things Disney is that, I have expectations when we go on vacation, and because our jobs are pretty demanding when we're on vacation, I don't have a high tolerance for a lot of, waiting around and this kind of thing. So my husband always knew that when he was planning our Disney vacations that he was going to have to make it, a little easier for me, or I wouldn't want to keep doing it the same way he wants to keep doing it. So he's always been really sensitive to making sure that we could make it as relaxing as possible since we have such limited time off.
Yeah. So he is the primary planner for your family. And it sounds like he's one of us. He's a planner that wants to optimize.
He is your people. So he has been deep in all of this for long before I ever met him. So he was part of all the message boards and listened to all the podcasts and all the blogs and all of that for years and years and years. I'm late to the game.
Okay. So he knows what he's doing. You're along for the ride. You're enjoying it now. And so Disney World is where you've primarily gone. Have you guys been to Disneyland?
Never been to Disneyland.
I will tell you, I think that you might like it given the sort of more laid back nature.
That's kind of our whole vibe is we're very laid back travelers, whether it be to Disney or wherever we end up vacationing. We're kind of like prefer to do spur of the minute type thing. We like that whole laid back atmosphere. We don't want to be tied to a bunch of things. When we're vacating, we like to kind of decide what we're going to do when we wake up that day. So he does a lot of pre-planning for Disney vacations specifically, but it's always a plan A, B, C, and D. So we've got options in case we decide we want to do something different or somebody wakes up not feeling good or somebody's in a different mood that day. You know, we like to be able to call an audible.
Yeah. And I always maintain that one of the best ways to have a laid back vacation is to do a lot of planning beforehand so you can pivot depending on what everybody's up to. So laid back can include a lot of work beforehand, but a more easy trip itself. So hopefully you'll get to go to Disneyland someday because I think it would fit your personality.
I think you're right. We were going to go we were actually supposed to be there this week and we had to change plans and had to move that trip, but it's on the list because we have a lot of customers that are like Disneyland. So we've got to get there and see how that whole deal works because it's a little bit different in California.
Yeah. Okay. So that will be fun when you finally get there. Can we talk a little bit? So you've done Paper Fast Passes, you've done Fast Pass Plus, and now obviously you guys are there doing Genie Plus just like the rest of us and frustrated just like a lot of us. So what was the moment that you guys were like, you know what, we need to create a tool to help with this?
So our first trip back, like I mentioned, I work in healthcare, so COVID was a different situation for us. We were truly locked down because I was in and out of the hospital every day for work. It was a different experience around here. So we planned our first trip back to Disney the January after Genie started in October. And to say that my husband is into this stuff, I mean, he fully understood what we were getting into when we started that whole deal. So when we got there, this trip was a little bit different. We always just travel, my husband, myself, and our 2 kids. And this time, my brother-in-law, who is a young single guy with lots of disposable income, decided he wanted to go with us. Now, why a young 20-something wanted to go on a trip with us and 2 little kids, I think he just wanted to spend time with his niece and nephew. So there was a little bit added pressure of making sure that he really got to enjoy it because this wasn't going to be a couple of times a thing. I mean, going a couple of times a year like we get to go. And if we ever wanted him to go back, we needed to make it fun. So there was that added element. Usually when we stay at the Contemporary. So we like to be, on the monorail. And that first day when we were doing the lightning lanes, I'm looking at my husband. I'm like, well, what are you doing on your phone? Because once we get on vacation, because we're married to the phone 24/7, 365 for our jobs, we really do not want to have to look at that thing while we're on vacation. We're very much people watchers and, we like to find all the hidden Mickeys and look at all the different things that have changed from trip to trip. And that was getting frustrating for me, going to look at him to share a glance at, look at the kids, how much fun they're having. And there's no glance to be shared because his head is down in the phone. So, about 2 days into this, and my brother-in-law, same way. So he's, trying to help my husband navigate this whole thing. And I'm in charge of kids and stroller. So about 2 days into the trip, I'm like, I don't know that I can keep coming like this. This is really feeling like work now. So that's sad. to see something that you love and you enjoy in a certain way be different. So we were thinking about it a lot during the trip. And my husband said, we looked at each other and we're like, there's got to be a better way. And he said, I think I know. I think there is a better way. And I think I know how to do this. So when we got back from that trip, we started researching how to make that happen. And by February, he and I were back in the parks testing it on a laptop.
The next month?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, he wanted to have it as a web-based tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't think that that's going to be helpful for people. I think we need to do this as an app. Well, he nor I are app developers, but we kind of
now.
That's what I tell people is I guess we are now. We watched a lot of YouTube videos, read a lot of things, and that was the bulk of our time was spent turning it into an app because it would have worked fine as a, web-based, but that's just not the route that we wanted to go. So I said, if we're going to do it, let's just do it this way and see what happens. So it really was the entire time a thought experiment. Like, will this work? Will people want to use this? Is this like a thing? So we talked to several people that were in the space just to ask their opinion, get them to look at it. Do they think this is something that is helpful, valuable? We talked to some attorneys to make sure that we were following the rules and all that kind of thing and make sure that we were in line with the terms of service and all these kind of things. And because we're very much rule followers, we didn't want to get in trouble, nor did we ever want to get banned from Disney. That would be the worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to make sure we were following all the rules. And then, let's see, I think July. So we started in January of 2022. And we had beta users started using it in July of 2022. So it was available in the App Store for purchase in September of 2022.
And September 22 is when it officially launched. And then, so it's been just under a year or so at this point.
Yeah. July the 11th made 1 year of it being an app. And September the 9th will make a year of it being a product, I guess.
Nice. So you're still in the beginning phases, and it's been very useful for a lot of us.
That's what we hear.
Yes. Yeah. So that's exciting. What has been the most surprising part so far?
If I am completely honest, because I'm not or wasn't fully exposed to the Disney community before this. So I've just been so pleasantly surprised by how welcoming and kind and thoughtful and appreciative everyone has been. That's probably been the funnest, most humbling thing of it all for us. Is we have families that send us these skipping videos. I don't know if you've seen those on our Instagram.
The skipping trend is hilarious to me.
Y'all, those, I cry when I watch them. It's the little girls, it's the dads, it's all the little costumes. I mean, those are just the funnest to me that they send us these videos. The grown-ups are hilarious, and I just love how excited they are about it. So it's just been really surprising that it's been as well received. Like we really didn't know starting into this that this was going to be like a for real thing, business that people liked. So that's probably been the funnest part of it. I like working with my husband. I like him. It's fun to do things with him. So.
That's really nice. So it's like your project that you can do together.
It is, yeah.
Other than the
kids
children
have gotten involved. A lot of the kids that you see in some of our marketing materials, those are ours. So those kids, they're involved in it, and they go to school and talk about it, which I think is super cute. And I love that they get to see firsthand how a business is created and run and see their parents doing something that they enjoy and that they think is fun. And certainly they like being able to go to Disney more often to try out things when we're changing things up.
Yes, that is a nice perk. So I often joke, as someone who has a business in this niche, that Disney's trying to kill us because every time they do something, it impacts everything else, right? So in our
Hmm.
case, it would be like rewriting entire parts of content or
Yeah.
whatever. Is there a part of that that worries you or frustrates you because Disney can change at any time?
Probably in the beginning, right at the beginning, probably yes, more so than now. So we went down in December of 2022 for about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, because there was a big change that impacted us. And that was super stressful. But at that point, we had to, my husband's married to a therapist. So we overtalk and overthink everything. So we really had to like sit down and say, you know what? This is why we keep our jobs. We're
Mm.
going to do the thing until we can't do the thing anymore. We're going to do the best that we can. This is, our side project, our side thing. All that to say, I don't spend a lot of time worrying because I just know that it's going to happen, right? We just
Mhm.
know that changes are going to
Mhm.
happen, that they just do. And we're okay with that. If it improves the product for, Disney goers, we're Disney goers. So we're happy about any kind of
Mhm.
improvement in the product. So I don't think we worry about it a lot. Do I like it when it happens? Probably I wouldn't say that. But the changes that they're making, I don't in any way think that they're related to Standby Skipper. I mean, we're such a small, teeny tiny portion of Genie business that I don't think they're related to us. I think that a lot of the changes that are happening are just based on what they've been hearing from fans.
Yeah. It can be frustrating when you're like, oh, I've got plans for the next 4 days. And then, nope, there's a change. Going to have to work.
I grew up, my parents owned a grocery store.
Hmm.
So I grew up in the grocery store and I was kind of exposed to that since I was a little kid. And then I work in healthcare, so that doesn't stop us 24/7. Something's always
Hmm.
happening. So
Hmm.
I think our personalities and the way our life was anyway is kind of already in that whole space of you just got to adapt. You just got to be able to roll with it, do what you
Hmm.
can do your best, and then, the rest will catch up.
Yeah, that's probably a good attitude to have with anything related to Disney. So, as somebody who has talked about Sam My Skipper, I get a lot of feedback from people. A lot of people love it, and then a couple people have had concerns. So, I wanted to give you a chance to address those. One of those is, aren't you worried about security? People will say to me, you
Very.
know,
Hmm.
because they're logging into this is what people say, not what's actually happening.
Yeah.
They're logging into your account, they have access to my Disney experience. Doesn't that bother you? What would you say to that?
Well, we're not logging into their account.
Mhm.
So they're becoming friends with us. But security is super important to us. We've got kids and pictures and all of that kind of stuff in our My Disney experience. So that has always been one of our like primary directives in starting this is making sure that we're not holding people's information. We don't want to be putting them in jeopardy. We don't want to be putting ourselves in jeopardy. You know, it's It's just like any other app. Actually, it's probably not. We probably look at less and do less with information than other apps do. But, it's just one of those things. It's a priority for us and people are just going to have to trust that we're doing the right thing. That is our primary goal with this app. It's just to do the right thing. And then we feel like if we do the right thing, then good things will come to us. That's kind of our directive.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have. And you mentioned earlier that part of your initial research was meeting with lawyers, making sure you're within the rules, so there aren't concerns in that way.
No, you know, my husband's worked in internet security for many years. Like that's part of his role. So to say that he is a rule follower is like the understatement of the century. So we have recently brought on somebody that helps us with some of kind of our marketing directives. And yeah, his anxiety just really unnerves her. Yeah. Because when we decide we're going to do something, he has to really think about that for a good long time before he'll agree to analyze every little tiny piece of it. If anybody listening has an engineer as a husband, they know exactly what I'm talking about. So one of the first filters everything goes through is this safe? Is this secure? Is this kosher? Is everything lining up the way that it should? So yeah.
Yeah. So you're trying to he's going to catch everything as best he possibly can.
If he
nothing is-
doesn't, our users will, and they will immediately let us know.
Yes. So during your trips, it would be safe to say you're using Standby Skipper now. Do you have particular strategies? Like a lot of people talk about turning and stacking.
So it's so, like when we were developing the app, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? So we only know the way that we tour the park. So once we started opening it up to other families in the beta stage, we were like, oh, not everybody does it the way that we do it. So the way that our family uses Standby Skipper is, we put in our first request. So we kind of generally decide, are we eating breakfast at the park? What part of the park are we going to be in when we decide we want to eat this morning? So like if we're at Epcotting, we're going to pick Remy because we know we want to go get a baguette France. So we'll get that as our first, and then we'll just kind of stroll around and ask for them as we decide we're passing something. That's not the way a typical family does the park. I recognize that now.
Correct. So you had to do a little research to figure out how other people were using it.
Well, unfortunately, we churn so much data because we have so many people using it. We can see how people are using it. So like in Magic Kingdom, the way our family would use it is, okay, one of the kids wants to go do pirates. So we'll snag pirates and then we'll put in Jungle Cruise. And then, we'll put them in kind of one at a time or 3 or 4 at a time and just let it keep booking for us as we're in that little area. And then we'll, in between, while we're waiting for something to book, we'll go to the bathroom and then get something to drink and go see a show. And, we kind of fill in our time there. There's never a lot of downtime. We are definitely not rope droppers, but close to. We pretty much get there between, at least within an hour of the park opening. And then we generally stay until close. But we don't go hard all day. We stroll and look around at things. So we're kind of laid back in that way. Lots of the other families are way more planned out than we are. So they'll select their 7 a.m. and then they know exactly how they're going to request things for the entire rest of the day. Come hell or high water, that is the way that they're going to do that day.
Yeah. I'm not quite that rigid, but I had on my last trip a list every day of like, okay, these are the attractions I want to visit, and these are the Standby Skipper like requests I'm going to put in every morning, because you have to buy Genie Plus every day. You have to put your Standby Skipper searches in every day. And I didn't want to be thinking about it at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's the thing. So like the way the app was designed was so you could request the things that you wanted, let us look for them, and then you not have to look at your phone anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was designed for. Now I see that people are using it in different ways. So they're really like maximizing, like I've seen families booking 13, 14, 15 lightning lanes in one park in a day through the Skipper. I'm like, oh my God, how did your feet even survive this day? But they do it. And we try to encourage our customers not to use Standby Skipper to, maximize. It's not going to be the thing that maximizes Genie, because, a human could do the same exact thing that Standby Skipper does. And that's kind of by design, but the Standby Skipper was designed for families kind of like us that are like, well, I don't have the patience to do all this swiping, but I know when I want to go on this thing or that thing. So I'm just going to have somebody else do that swiping part for me.
Yeah. I mean, I always describe it as an extra set of hands.
Yeah.
Like someone else can go and swipe so I can have a conversation or go on a ride without worrying about like opening the app to get the next one because my window's open or whatever it is,
One of the things that was important to us is that there's not a lot of features in the app, right? And that's by design. So because we recognize that families use it so differently and they tour the parks so differently, we wanted it to be designed in such a way that everybody could use it in a way that was going to benefit them the best for their park.
Mm-hmm.
And the app isn't for everybody. Some people are just too type A to be able to relinquish control of the swiping. And a lot of people get some, endorphins from the swiping and the getting of it.
Right. But I will say, though, even if you use it, you don't have to relinquish control because you can do both.
True. That's true.
Because I had standby skipper searches set. And also I was doing some things when time allowed. So it's not either or. It's just an extra person.
Yeah.
Person in quotes.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does the future like? Is there going to be a Disneyland version, for instance?
I am the most non-committal person in the world, Shannon. So maybe. Disneyland works so differently. So you have to be in the park to book your lightning lanes. And I don't know what I don't know. So we would have to go there and fool with it and see how the flow works, right? So part of when we were designing this version of Standby Skipper, the Disney World version of Standby Skipper, we kept going and testing it ourselves to make sure that the flow worked correctly and the way that we wanted it to work. So we would have to do that. And California is a little bit further for us. So it's on the list of things we'd like to look into.
Yeah, it's very similar. And so that's why I thought it would probably work. You do have to be in the park, but other than that, it's pretty much the same thing.
A lot of people tell us, though, that it may not be as necessary in Disneyland, that the booking of the lightning lanes are a little bit easier to manage there. So I'm not sure that the demand would be there quite as the same way that it is for Disney World.
It would not. The demand for anything Disney related, it's not as intense as Disney World, but it's just so similar that like programmatically, it probably wouldn't be that much of a change to do that version. Also, I'm getting ready to go to Disneyland. I was like, you know what? I'd really like to have Standby Skipper to help out.
People ask me about it probably 3 or 4 times every day.
Do they? About Disneyland?
Yeah.
Okay. So you at least have a few of us that would be using it for sure.
Yes.
Any other like future plans or changes, enhancements, etc. in the works?
Always just trying to improve the product, right? So people ask for different time frames to select from. So we're always tooling around with that to see how that would look and how that would affect things. And it's exciting. The future's exciting. We've talked to some other people where there could be some integration between our app and theirs, and we're excited about going down that path and seeing what that would look like. Some of the changes that Disney's talking about coming in January, where you can do some pre-planning. I would love to be able to see us incorporate some of that in the Standby Skipper. So it's all just super exciting. We're a small little team of 2 and recently 3. We added somebody that we get really excited to see all the changes because we're Disney fans and are really excited to see how we could improve Standby Skipper to go in hand with the changes Disney's making on their end.
Yeah. Well, that's very exciting. And I hope you guys get to continue for a long time. I always say to people, as a park guest, I hate when things get more complicated, but as a business owner, I'm like, it gives us more stuff to do. I mean,
that's true.
So mixed feelings. Either way, we win on some level. So anyway, okay. Well, it's been really great to talk to you and I appreciate it.
Well, I just want to tell you and your community that y'all have been such a huge support to us from jump. And I am so appreciative and thankful for your community. Y'all really, in the beginning, ask all the pointed questions because you wanted to understand it inside and out. And that pressed us to improve our website, make sure we had all the information that you guys wanted on there. So we're just really appreciative of everything that you guys and your community have done for Standby Skipper, and thankful for being able to be part of the community now.
Good. Well, glad to hear it. And thanks for chatting today.
All right. Thanks, Shannon.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. And if you are interested in using Standby Skipper, then during the sign up process, there will be a little drop down box that says who sent you here. And you can select WW Prep School on the list. I think that will wrap up this episode of WW Prep to Go. For more information on this episode, please check the show notes in your podcast app or head to the website www.prepschool.com. Click on podcast at the top, scroll down to episode 369. Until next time, I will see you on the site.